Zane's in a race against time to control his own instincts as Alessandra's heat calls out to every unmated male within scent. Can he resist the urge to claim her? Or will the alpha in him break free and make her his forever? 𝐶HPTR29𝐊𝐢𝐬𝐩𝐿𝐬, he set fire to the world around him, but never let a flame touch her. Zane 𝐷𝐞𝐝, the Luna Morosa mansion was a mess when I had boarded the jet. Everyone was getting their stuff together to leave Italy and return home to California. Mine and Alessandra's marking is not the one they came here for, but I'm sure it was exciting nonetheless. Other than the staff, I was the only person on the jet. Alessandra refused to get on the same aircraft as me, which wouldn't have been a big deal except we are the only ones going to the Chandani ball. So I ordered another jet from California to get her and escort her to New York where the ball will be taking place. A flight attendant approaches me confidently and gestures to the champagne on her hand. I'm good, thanks. She pours at me and gives me a small flutter of her lashes. Let me know if you need anything. Alpha. Her blonde hair whips around as she returns to her seat. Normally my cock would be buried in her mouth by now, but I can't remember the last time I was able to come without thinking of Alessandra. The jet takes off and I'm asleep within 5 minutes. Of course, my dreams happen to be about a certain brown-eyed girl. And yes, she does look gorgeous with a flight attendant uniform. I land around the same time Alessandra does. I'm adjusting my tie when she walks down the stairs in a short dress and her hair up in a ponytail. It's not typical airport attire, but first impressions are important, especially with the Oberoi family. Her eyes are hidden by her sunglasses, so there's no way for me to tell what she's thinking. My hand reaches out to help her down the stairs, but she ignores it and continues to walk down. As soon as her heels touch the ground, I wrap my arm around her waist and pull her to my side. You might be forgetting, but we are newly marked mates, which means we have to be all over each other, I tell her. She gives me no response, so I continue. We can't have people thinking there are problems in our relationship. Alessia, I say. We do have problems in our relationship, she counters. I'm aware. The point is we can't have people thinking we are weak. A united front is a strong one, I tell her. She gives me a smile that is clearly sarcastic and goes on to pinch my cheeks like I'm a baby. 𝐴WW, my little sweetheart. I just can't stand to be apart from you. Alessandra says in a too-high voice. Alessandra, I growl. 𝐴WW, are you upset? Is it because I forgot to give you a kiss this morning? Alessandra says with a pout. She goes to kiss my cheek with her lips puckered up, but I turn my head to catch her lips with mine. She kisses me back before slowly wiping her tongue on my lower lip. I'm given no warning when she captures it between her teeth in a painful grip. A firm growl rips out of me as I grab her hips and push her ass against the grill of the black limo we were supposed to be in minutes ago. My hand comes up to squeeze her jaw as my eyes penetrate hers. Don't start shit you can't fucking finish, Alessandra, I say in a low tone. You're the one who won't fucking finish anything, Zane, she grits out. My grip on her loosens. Excuse me, you heard me? The driver is over by the jets poisoning himself with nicotine and no one can see us. So what's stopping you? You can just push up my dress and take me right here. I'm having a hard time believing this is the same woman from 2 years ago. Alessandra has always been confident, but she's never been confident in her sexuality. Her voice is sultry as she talks, and she makes a point of looking at my lips and teasing me with hers. Her hand wraps around my tie and she brings me even closer than we were before. I won't even make a sound. No one would hear us, she whispers. I grab her thighs and hike her up onto the hood of the limo. The sunglasses on top of her head fall to the floor with a clatter. Once she's up, I drag her closer to me so our pelvises are touching. My nose goes to her neck and immerses itself in her sweet vanilla scent. I continue to rub my nose up and down her nose slowly as I talk. "When I fuck you, Alessandra," I whisper in her ear. Her thighs clench around me as the smell of her arousal travels to my nose. "You're going to scream so damn loud that everyone will hear you." Her breathing gets heavier and mine does the same. "But you got him out of your mind if you think our first time is going to be at some airport on a car." With those words, I step away. "Maybe I've already done it at an airport on a car," she says. This woman knows exactly how to push my buttons. I'm on her before she even finishes the last word of her sentence. I bring her off the hood and grab her ass in my hands. Then I squeeze. Hard. She whimpers. "Don't fucking lie to me. Alessandra, I know you're a virgin, but that doesn't mean your words don't set me off." She looks at me like she doesn't believe me. I wrap her hair in a fist and pull her head back so her eyes can only see me. "I killed thousands of people in a past life because you died. You think I wouldn't do the same if someone touched you now?" The rage in her brown eyes calms slightly. I wonder if she knows that I've killed many people myself simply to restrain myself from seeing her. Sure, they were all criminals, but I'm not the goddess. It's up to her to decide when someone perishes. I might have some guilt, but there's also some relief. When Alessandra comes home, she will be in a place that is safer than ever. I grab her hand in mine and lead her to the door of the limo. Her hand feels much smaller than mine, and I wonder how she even holds anything. I pull the door open and gesture for her to enter. "Maxwell, get your ass over here." I call out to the driver, who has a cigarette dangling from his lips. He hurries over and I get settled into my seat. And so it begins. 𝐶HPTER30. Welcome to Manhattan. Maybe I'm too busy being yours to fall for somebody new. Arctic monkeys. Alessandra Manhattan is in a league of its own. I've been here with my papa a handful of times for business, but this is different. The crisp air keeps my face cool as I take in the 𝐊𝐲𝐬 estate. It's not common for wolves to live in cities because there is never enough land to let your wolf free. However, as I look around, it's visible that there is more than enough space for wolves to roam. In fact, I'm sure this much land could classify as its own state. I watch Zane take in everything as we drive towards the mansion, but his face shows no emotion. "We are a happily mated couple." "Got it." Zane whispers to me. "Got it?" I know that the 𝐊𝐲𝐬 were cutthroat. They are part of the Moonlight Pack, which stretched from New York State to New Jersey. The 𝐊𝐲𝐬 family immigrated from India a couple of hundred years ago. Since then, they've made it to the top, becoming one of the richest families in America. And 𝐊𝐲𝐬 is always featured in Forbes magazine for their success in the business world and dazzling lifestyle. Humans admired them, and the supernatural world looked at them with a mixture of awe and confusion. Why in the hell would werewolves want to mingle with humans? Looking around the giant estate, I understood why. It was amazing if you thought about it. The 𝐊𝐲𝐬 immersed themselves in a life full of lavish cars and houses. They weren't an alpha family, but the money they acquired over the years made them an asset to the pack. Yet no one could have anticipated that this luxurious lifestyle would grow so large. So large that they surpassed the alpha family in terms of wealth and eventually in power. I'm not sure if they knew it or not, but as the 𝐊𝐲𝐬 wrapped the human world around their fingers, they were doing the same to us wolves. Every werewolf female rules over the 𝐊𝐲𝐬 brothers, while the males obsess over the 𝐊𝐲𝐬 sister, who is a well-known philanthropist and model. Every year, Werewolves tune in to watch the 𝐊𝐤𝐬𝐬 ball through wolf news channels. Wow, I can't believe I'm here, I whisper to myself. Zane scoffs. Don't tell me you're one of those girls who is obsessed with 𝐿𝐻𝐵. Sorry to tell you, but every girl is obsessed with 𝐿𝐻𝐵. Werewolf and human alike, why? They're just a family with too much money to spend. I gawk at him. Wow, you really are clueless. But 𝐊𝐻𝐴 is a fashion icon and an award-winning director. Her husband, Chandra, is one of the biggest businessmen in history. Their kids are also amazing. 𝐻𝐴 is a model and she is a part of so many charities. And the 𝐿𝐻𝐵 brothers? Wowdy Aaron and our Ivan 𝐿𝐻𝐵 are the dream. Did you know they funded the search for those girls that were trafficked all those years ago? And they are so dreamy. Zane continues to look unimpressed throughout my entire speech, but I couldn't care less. I'm internally fangirling. The 𝐿𝐻𝐵s are like royalty, and I am not about to miss out on the chance to meet them. You're literally here for the 𝐊𝐿𝐬𝐬 ball. Stop freaking out. We are going to stay in the 𝐿𝐻𝐵 estate and then we will leave the morning after tomorrow. Zane speaks. I know. All attendants of the ball get to stay with the 𝐿𝐻𝐵s. I reply. I've heard that their house, Sorry Estate, is better than most 5-star hotels. Zane chuckles at my response as if it's funny that I already know everything about the event. Our driver continues to drive towards the mansion until we are parked right outside the door. Zane gets out first and holds out his hand for me. My first instinct is to slap it away, but starting now, we are the perfect couple. I lay my hand in his and step down from the car. A spark sings through me and I flinch, pulling my hand from his. Maxwell places our luggage in front of us. This is as far as I can go into the estate. I will retrieve you both soon, he says. Thank you. You are excused, Zane says. Maxwell places his hand on his heart and bows for a short moment. Alphys, he says as a goodbye before driving away in the Blacktown car. A man in a suit comes running out as Maxwell departs. Oh, I'm so sorry. I should have been out here sooner, he says. It's all right, sir, I say. He smiles brightly before offering us his hand. I'm William, the butler, and you two must be the 𝐿𝐻𝐵s. I freeze and Zane senses it. It never occurred to me that I am now a part of the 𝐿𝐻𝐵 family. Zane wraps his arm around me to pull me out of my moment of shock. Yes, that is us, I say before taking his hand to shake it. He turns to Zane and shakes his hand as well. It's a pleasure to meet the Alphys of Blood Moon. I hope you enjoy the ball and do not hesitate to ask for anything you might need, William says. The pleasure is ours, Zane says with zero emotion. He could at least act like he wants to be here. William grabs our luggage and walks up the steps to the generous doors. Zane is a tall man, but the door is easily 4 of him. William nods at the guards who have been watching our every move since we arrived, and they press a button that opens the doors. Walking into the mansion is like stepping into a fairy tale. A large chandelier hangs from the ceiling. The crystals in it twinkle as the light hits them. On both sides of me are staircases that wrap around and meet at the top. Well, the chandelier caught my first. I take in the painting on the ceiling that would give the Sistine Chapel a run for its money. I don't see anyone bustling about, but I can hear that they are in a different part of the house. If you follow these stairs, you will find your rooms. Luna 𝐿𝐻𝐬𝐬 are staying in the west wing, while Alpha 𝐿𝐻𝐬𝐬 will stay in the east wing, William tells us. What? Separate rooms? Zane asks. Clearly, he didn't know about this tradition. Yes, Mates must stay apart until tomorrow night. William informs him, but I know he must be thinking about my heat, but I feel fine and I doubt it will start anytime soon. That's okay, I tell William before offering him a warm smile. I'll be okay, I whisper to Zane. He doesn't look convinced, but he drops it. Some of the alphas have already arrived, so feel free to mingle. I'll bring your luggage up to you, William says before disappearing. I go to leave, but Zane grabs my hand. If anything happens, you text me immediately, okay? I nod and go up the marble stairs while Zane takes the other stairs. I walk down the hallway that seems to go on and on. All of the doors have a nameplate with the name of the Luna on it. I finally see mine at the end of the hall. Alessandra and 𝐷𝐿𝐿 Blood Moon. The bold text stares at me. It's a strange thing to feel. I'll always be a Romano, but I guess when idols are involved, I'm a 𝐷𝐿𝐿. The biggest shift of all is that I'm an alpha now. My wolf will now have the power to command everyone in my pack, and I'm not sure how to handle it. I guess there's only one way to handle it. Head first. Like a Romano. I twist the silver handle and enter. It's a beautiful room with an N sweetened a large stained glass window that overlooks the gardens. A rush of excitement hits me and I run to open the closet. The best part of the Chandani ball is the dress. Nobody gets to choose their own dress. It's hand-picked by the 𝐻𝐻𝐻 designers who study who the alphas are before they get here. The goal is to give the guests a dress that is perfect for them. I breathe in and walk away from the closet, though the temptation has me nearly chewing my nails. I walk over to the large window that leads to a balcony. I think this is what it would have been like to live in Versailles. There's beauty everywhere around. Seriously. Right now. Yes, right now I can control it. I leave my beautiful room behind and walk towards the doors that led to the gardens. I know if I follow the path, eventually I will find the woods and let my wolf free. I'm about to signal for the guards to open the door when a hand latches itself to my wrist. My reflexes kick in and I grab the wrist that grabbed mine and drag the person in front of me. Whoa there, miss. I just wanted to know the name of such a beautiful lady, the man said. I look into their eyes and realization dawns on me. Oh my goodness, it's our 𝐿𝐻𝐬 𝐑𝐿𝐿. Compose yourself, Alessandra, you're a Luna now. No time to fangler. I put my hand forward. Alice and Romano. Luna of Blood Moon, I state. I'm pretty proud of myself until he opens his mouth. Romano. I don't recall an alpha with that surname. Or Ivan says in a smug voice like he knows something I don't. 𝐷𝐿𝐿𝐿. It's actually 𝐷𝐿𝐿𝐿. I newly mated, so I trail off, hoping he will get the gist. Yes, it must be confusing. Such a shame, though. I would have loved to get to know you, he says. His voice sounds kind, but the look in his eyes suggests the opposite. Till we meet again, he says before laying a soft kiss on my hand. I offer a smile in response. I make my way outside and shift into my wolf form. As I run around the grounds, I swear I see familiar gold eyes watching me. 𝐶HAPTER31. Wonderful. Thinking about the fact that getting what she deserves means being with someone else makes it hard for me to breathe. Harden Scott. After my love, your deep brown eyes pierce my soul. I wait for the day I can mark you. I'm not sure how much longer I can continue playing this game with you. The temptation is too much to resist at times. Your neck calls for my mark, and I have felt my canines extend on more than one account. I do not know if you have noticed yet, but your breasts are heavier. Your glow brighter. My beauty? You are with child. Soon I'm sure you will hear the heartbeat. One day when our children are taking care of our pack and we are old, I'll sit in our garden and read you these letters. We will reminisce about the past and enjoy our lives not as Alpha and Luna but as mates. So tell me, darling Rosanna, does your heart still beat faster when I am near? Does your face still heat up when you see my cock? What did we name our children? I always favored the name Roman for a boy. I never put much thought into having a daughter, but now I cannot imagine a world without a smaller version of you. I bet she has your kind eyes. Shall we name her Marabella? It means wonderful. Wonderful. The perfect word to describe my life with you. Same to you, Luca. I watched as she ran through the trees and into the vast forest behind the 𝐊𝐲𝐬 estate. Alessandra was looking at this place with wonder, but I viewed it with suspicion. There was something going on. Something deeper than this stupid ball. I texted Hero a while ago and let him know to look into it for me. Typically these tasks are for an alpha's beta, but Ricardo probably wanted me dead for marking his sister with no warning. I know I didn't have a warning either. I wait for Alessandra for nearly an hour. Her wolf finally comes back to the main grounds with her tongue out. Her heavy pants fill my ears and I watch as she disappears behind a tree and comes back with a loose shirt and shorts on. I leave my post once she enters the mansion. As I'm approaching the marble bench, I sense someone behind me. I inhale. Strong scent. Not an alpha, but definitely someone who has power. A newly mated, I assume. I turn to see none other than 𝐶𝐮𝐬. He's almost as tall as me with some gray hairs, but he appears to be 30 when he must be in his 50s. The navy blue suit looks makes him seem professional, but the paisley, pattern pocket square tells me something else. Excuse me? I ask. He gestures to the door. Was that your mate, young man? Yes, I answer with a clipped tone. Alessandra can gush over these people as much as she wants, but it will not change my opinion of them. Ah, I remember those days. The intense need to protect her while also making it known that she is yours and yours alone, he says. I nod in response. Well, let me tell you something, son. He places his hand on my shoulder. It never gets easier. The need to protect your mate only grows because the longer you spend time with them, the harder it gets to imagine a life without them, he says. My breath catches. The very thing he described is the one thing I never wished to happen. It's why I never committed to another after Isabel. It's why I was simply going to use her as my Luna, but there would be no love. Never. Then Alessandra had to come along and ruin everything. If I never saw her, I would never be in this situation. But how do I let her go? How do I rid my brain of the image of those brown eyes that shine when she smiles? How do I forget her scent that drives me wild? Oh, sure there's a way. The power she holds over me makes my chest constrict painfully. I never wanted love. Sex, sure. Companionship. Maybe. Now all my thoughts are consumed with a brunette. Is she safe? What is she doing right now? How fucking great would she look riding me? Thanks for the insight, Mr. 𝐊𝐲𝐬. I say before walking away. I head up towards my room, which is far too opulent for my taste. Everything in here is too fucking bright, but the bathroom is dark and contrasts beautifully with the bright marble of the rest of the room. I step into the shower and let the hot water pelt against my muscles. The stress from the past week has been locked tight in my back. In such a short span of time, my life has become so complicated. A pack to lead, businesses to maintain, and a mate to handle. The truth is I've been numb for a while. The pain around me has become a blur that I've become accustomed to. Nothing excites me except the drive to be the best alpha I can be. Yet when I hear Alessandra's voice when she asks me or when I smell her vanilla scent, my heart decides to come alive again. However, it's not enough. We were doomed from the start, weren't we? I was with her sister for nearly 3 years, and Alessandra has never expressed anything other than hate towards me. Perhaps I'll use her body and she'll use mine, and when this mate bond finally starts to fade, we can move on and find other people. We would still be mates. Of course, no alpha is strong without his Luna, but I think we both deserve to find love. At least she does anyway, and who am I stand in her way? Her fucking mate, you idiot. I don't need your opinion right now, Raphael. I don't know why you bother. Excuse me. We both know that the second she looks at another man, you will kill him. So tell me, Zane. How exactly do you expect her to find love, I said, when the mate bond fades? Not now. Silence. I make a mental note to talk about this with my mate after the ball. Celine watched Zane and listened to his thoughts. Sometimes she wishes gods were still allowed to intervene with their creations, but alas, she could only watch her child make colossal mistakes. Seriously. She had gone through so much trouble to fix the past, and yet this young alpha was acting like it was no big deal to just give up on your mate. And who said the mate bond fades? If anything, it grows stronger over time. There's nothing like the bond between the werewolves. It's a blessing and a curse, because life with a mate is glorious, full of happiness and love. A life without a mate is something Celine never wishes upon any wolf, because at that point there is simply no point in living. 𝐶HAPT before the storm. Although we've come to the end of the road, still I can't let go. End of the road, Rosanna. I cannot bear the pain sometimes. It feels as if I'm drowning in pain that seems to have no end. I would do anything to smell your scent, to stare into your dark eyes as you look at me with wrongs. I have many regrets, but I plan on mending my wrongs. Ti amo, Lorenzo Alessandro Romano. It was the day of the ball. I could barely sleep last night from the excitement pumping in my heart. I could not wait to see the dress I was given, but before that happened, I had to attend a spa day with the rest of the Lunas. My phone rings and I enter my passcode to see who had messaged me. Vincenzo, how's it going, Alessia? Is my cousin giving you a hard time? Alessandra, he's his usual grumpy self and I'm doing great. Vincenzo, can't wait to see your pictures from the ball. I'll be watching it all go down online. I missed Italy. The country had become home in the 2 years I was there. Most of all, I missed Lake Tahoe. It'd been so long since I'd run through the woods or just sat by the lake taking in the beauty nature had to offer. I promised myself I would spend some time with nature once I got home. Someone knocked on my door and I was met with an unfamiliar face. Hi. I'm Leon from the Moonlight Pack. I pondered for a second as I remembered who she was. I've never met her, but I studied the people attending to be prepared in case anything happens. She was the Luna of the pack, and from what I've heard, she was a talented mixed martial artist who is known for her tact. Her dark raven hair flowed down to her hips and her eyes stared at me with caution. She wasn't here for a friendly conversation, but rather for information about me. I'm Alessandra from the Blood Moon Pack. It's great to meet you. I've heard about your talented kung fu moves, Lunalian. I tell her, intentionally dropping the fact that I know about her. Thank you. I was there at one of your races, actually. You're a very fast runner, she says with a smile. Thank you, I've been practicing all my life. I respond. Well, I came here to ask if you would like to walk down to the spa room with me. I would love that, I say. I grab my bag and close the door behind me. So, Alessandra, it must be weird, right? Excuse me. You know, Being mated to your twin's mate. Talk about awkward. I clench my jaw and swallow my embarrassment. I'm surprised she's being so direct, but I hold some respect for her because of it. It was expected that people would ask questions since Isabel and Zane were so public about their relationship, but I'm still caught off guard. Come, I suppose it is, but we are all overcoming it. I tell her. Was it the truth? Not really. We were not really overcoming it, we were just kicking the problem under the rug. Well, being a Luna is a big responsibility, and I think you are perfect for the job, she says. I smile. It's reassuring to hear that, especially from a young Zhao. That means a lot, I tell her. I do not mean to offend you, but I never thought your sister would be good at being Luna. She's too worried about image, she tells me. I agree with her on the image part. Isabel has always cared too much about what others think of her, but I still think she would have been a good Luna. Isabel had the qualities of a good Luna despite her small flaws, I say. Perhaps. But a Luna will never be successful if she cares about other people's opinions, she says. I gesture for her to elaborate. When I first met my mates back, they were wary of me, she says. I was a stranger and there weren't many Chinese members in his pack, and I felt as if I did not belong because I knew what they thought of me. Then one day my mate was away on business when we were ambushed by a neighboring pack. Everyone turned to the beta for directions, but I knew it was my job to keep my pack safe. I spewed out some orders and I could tell no one wanted to follow them. They had to, though. I was their Luna. My commands that day saved the lives of many. No one was hurt and I had earned my place. Not once did I think, what will they think of me? Because that's not how leaders think. No matter what you say, someone will oppose you. The only thing you can do is stand your ground. So you are saying you do not see these qualities in my sister? I ask. She laughs. Her eyes crinkle and her lips pull upward as her head falls back. The tight bun she has her hair in catches the light and almost looks blue because of how black her hair is. Sweetheart, your sister is the exact opposite of what a Luna should be. Everyone has a role in their pack and being Luna is not hers. What's the point of you telling me all this? I want you to realize that you and Zane are mates for a reason. Stop holding on to this childish fantasy where you two can live separately as mates. How can you be so sure? Honestly, I agree with her thinking, but I want to know why she thinks this. I lost my mate 2 years ago. Every day feels incomplete. Every day I think that there is something missing, that there is something wrong. It's him. He's not here. He's gone forever and I'll never see him again. My heart aches for this woman. The pain is so clearly etched on her face that I'm tempted to wrap her in my arms and provide even a moment of solace. Her teary eyes meet mine, and the words she says paralyze me with fear. Sometimes it feels like every breath I take is forced. It's like I'm in this body, but my soul is already halfway to him. Don't waste your time, Alessandra. I wish someone would have told me that when I was a young Luna like you. I'm so stunned by her words that I do not even question how she knows things between Zane and 𝐼𝐸. Every now and then I wonder. I wonder if maybe one day we will be the kind of mates that love each other. It's usually when Zane makes me laugh. Or when I think about how the only times I see him show any kind of emotion is with me or his dad. Sometimes it's when he looks at me like he would burn the world down if it meant getting to spend another moment with me. That's another thing I've noticed. Zane will just sit in the same room as me when I'm reading. He'll watch me when I go on my runs, even though I'm more than capable of taking care of myself. Sometimes he would just sit in the living room and watch a movie with me at the pack house when we were teenagers. We never talked or interacted at all, but it's those moments that come to mind when I think of us. Then I think of the other memories. The ones where my parents were away on business and all I could hear were 𝐴𝐻 and Isabel's grunts throughout the house. The ones where he would make sure that I was excluded from all the party games as a kid. Zane takes the world 𝐊𝐲𝐽 to another level, but those aren't the thoughts that scare me the most. The one that cripples me with fear is never measuring up to her. I've lived in my sister's shadow all my life, and I refuse to continue the rest of my life that way. Screw Jan and her advice. I do not feel incomplete. I don't need Zane or anyone for that matter. Let's head to the spa and join the rest of the Lunas. Lon and I tell her before walking away. 𝐶HPTER33 starring if the devil were to ever see you, he'd kiss your eyes and repent. 𝐊𝐢𝐳𝐬𝐑𝐞𝐝 I'd seen some of the letters Lorenzo had written to his maitres aux Anna. Quite often, he referred to her as Beauty. As my eyes track Alessandra as she walks down the stairs, I see the truth behind his 𝐿𝐻𝐼𝐻𝐿. It was not just her looks that made her beautiful, but her heart as well. She was a good person to all those around her, even though she did not know. It was not something I could say about myself, but is that not the point of mates? She and I are different in many ways, but it creates a balance. I think back to my conversation with Mr. Olbro and remind myself to talk about Alessandra about my idea later at night. Her dress was a deep gray with a sparkling bodice. It hugged her torso tightly with a deep cut through the middle, which was close to revealing her breasts. The other half of the dress flared out like a traditional ball gown. Her brown tresses were flowing down her back in curls. A star. She looked like a star on a dark night. She stops next to me and places her arm through mine. Magnifica. I whisper in her ear. She smiles in return. We wait for a few seconds before we hear the announcer formally introduce us to the rest of the ball. A trumpet belts out before he speaks into the microphone. I present to you Alessandra and Zane 𝐸, alphas of the Blood Moon Pack. We both take a deep breath in before stepping around the corner and through the large doorway. A series of applause sounded as we walked down the aisle towards our table. It was customary for the alphas to be introduced before entering the ball, but it seems people were a little too excited to see us. Why wouldn't they? Everyone thought you would be with the other Romano sister. Presenting Leon Zhao Ashford, Alpha of the Moonlight Pack, the announcer spoke. I flinch when I recall the events that took place 2 years ago. Her mate, Levi Ashford, was killed in a fight between the Moonlight Pack and the Reapers. The Reapers were a highly trained group of werewolves who had established a pack years ago. They had no rules or values. Leon Zhao, Levi's mate, had wiped them later for revenge. Levi Ashford was a good alpha, one who would be missed by many. I clap for each of them with no joy or interest. My eyes are on the woman across from me who is taking in everything around her like it was a dream. Every now and then I watch her eyes squint when a bright flash went off from one of the cameras that the reporters were holding. Much like humans, we had our own news channels and social media outlets. This night was one of the most viewed events in the world. Werewolves from all over the world tuned in to watch their alphas answer questions and partake in the many rituals and dances. Thank you for attending this year's Chandani Ball. Bharat 𝐻𝐲𝐻 says through Nick. It's been an honor to host this event every year. Our goal is to bring all the leaders of the werewolf community together. She continues. I would like to remind everyone that this is a conflict-free zone. I know many packs have rivalries, but the point of tonight is to embrace unity and leave our differences back at home, she says. So let's begin this night with a dance. Instantly, a slow song begins to play through the many speakers dispersed in the ballroom. I look at Alessandra and smirk when I see she's nervous. I offer her my hand and pull her up. What's wrong? Little wolf. Scared of a little dancing. No, I'm just worried we are going to look awkward since we aren't close. I leaned in towards her ear. I remember our hips knowing exactly what to do last time we danced. I tell her, referencing the night 2 years ago when Isabel cheated on me and I danced with Alessandra at a party. She simply rolls her eyes at me before taking my hand and leading me toward the dance floor. We make it to the middle before she turns around and wraps her arms around my neck. I wrap mine around her waist and pull her in closer. Middle of the dance floor, huh? She smiles before answering. You want to show them we are a happily mated couple, right? I nod. I do not worry about anyone using their hearing to eavesdrop because of the intensity of the speakers. Her head falls against my chest and my arms wrap around her, tighter than they were before. We sway to the beat of the music. Her warm scent fills my nostrils and I try my best not to groan in pleasure. For a minute everything seems normal. We are just mates enjoying each other's company without all of the other bullshit that seems to stick with us. I hear her heart rate increase as I let my fingers trace her back, which is exposed in this dress. Then in 1 second, someone ruins our moment. May I cut in? No, the fuck you may not. The words almost leave my mouth, but Alessandra beats me to it with her own. Of course. Her voice is too cheery and her eyes a little too focused on his face. I give a tight smile before walking over to the bar. I'd rather not start a fight tonight with Alessandra. The bartender hands me a drink that looks like a foggy morning. They really went all out for this event. It's liquid nitrogen. The bartender says. I give him a clipped nod before returning my eyes to the man who swooped my mate into a dance. It's not uncommon to dance with others at these things, but it still rubs me the wrong way. Alessandra and the man are in deep conversation and I struggle to hear them with the loudspeakers. It does not look flirty, but every now and then I catch him looking at her breasts for a moment too long. She seems to miss it as she speaks about whatever it is they are talking about. After a couple of minutes, he finally kisses her hand and walks away. Finally. The torture is over. Alessandra smiles wide and walks over to where I am standing. Can you believe it? The 𝐊𝐲𝐬 bro, you wanted to talk to me about my medical journals, she tells me. Her eyes are bright with excitement and her hands are squeezing mine. I'm not even sure she realizes it. Medical journals, I ask. Vincenzo never reported anything about medical journals to me. Yeah, I've been working on some while I was in Italy. The doctor there was willing to guide me, she says. I try to find a way to tell her that there is no way she can juggle being Luna and a doctor for the pack. I know. I cannot be Luna and a doctor, she says with a sad face. If our stupid wolves did not take over back in Italy, she would not have to be my Luna and she could pursue her dream of being a doctor. I'm sorry that I ruined it for you, I tell her. She smiles at me. She actually smiles at me, like the one that reaches her eyes and makes her dark eyes twinkle. I think my heart does a flip. You've never genuinely apologized to me before, she says. Could I be more of a douche? Look, they are about to start the moon ceremony. I turn to look at what she is pointing to. Women come down the stairs with what look like veils. Each of the Lunas receives one. What the? I murmur. Alessandra winks at me before placing the veil over her head and running out the door with the rest of the Lunas. Some of the alphas around me look just as confused as I am, while the older ones act like this is just another Saturday night. I watch as the moonlight touches her dress, creating sparkles in its wake. Mine. 𝐶HPTER 34. Playing games. For nothing. Not the sun. Not the rain. Not even the brightest star in the darkest sky could begin to compare to the wonder of you. Khalid al-Rashid the Wrath and the Dawn Alessandra Romano, I will remember this night forever. If there is one thing I am sure of, it's that. The moon shines bright as if she knows today is a celebration of her. The lunas and I are all covered within white veil that is on the verge of being transparent. Excitement rushes through me as I think of what is to come. I hear the door creak open and out come the alphas with the blindfold covering their eyes. They are guided by the same women who gave us our veils. Behind them are 𝐿𝐲𝐬 and his 2 sons. Chandra grabs a mic and stands on a platform that is slightly above the extravagant pool. I'm sure some of you are wondering why we brought you here, he says. The event for this year's Chandani Ball is a mate search. The men have been blindfolded and have to search for their mates. You will all be given 1 hour. The winners will receive the best rooms in our house for tonight. Please. This is too easy. I can sniff out Abia in an instant. The alpha of the Crescent Pack says. I agree, it is too easy. Luckily for you, the veils that the lunas are wearing disguise their scents, so you will not be able to find them so easily, Chandra says with a smirk. Then how are we supposed to find them? Another young alpha asks. Use your heart, Chandra answers. The women led us away and each of us is given a spot to hide. I hear Chandra yell in the background that the game can begin. I know Zane will not find me. We are not that close, but goddess, do I want to spend a night in one of the 𝐿𝐲𝐬 suites. Don't get me wrong. The room I have now is amazing, but the suites have a skylight that allows you to see all of the stars. It's nearly impossible to see the stars in Manhattan, but that's what magic is for. I look through the veil and see a bunch of alphas stumbling around. One of them latches onto my arm and lets go once he touches me. It's easy to tell who your mate is through touch, especially if you have been mated for a long time. My apologies, he says, before walking away. I pray that Zane does not end up grabbing some woman thinking she is me. I know it will be harder for him to tell if it is me or not, but everyone will think there is some serious trouble in paradise. At least half an hour passes by before a loud horn fills the air. Alpha Kareem has found Luna Abia. Only 2 more winners will be chosen. 𝐻𝐲𝐬 speaks through a megaphone. A minute goes by before the shrill horn echoes through the forest again. 𝐻𝐲𝐬 eats her words from before, but with a different pair of alphas. My heart drops. I did not think Zane would find me, but a part of me wanted him to. I doubt we will get the last spot. I'm busy moping that I do not hear the presence behind me. A hand wraps around my wrist before spinning me until I am pressed against a hard chest. Kind. I look up, through the veil, to see Zane staring at me with triumph shining in his eyes. He pulls yanks the veil off before throwing it on the ground. His face shines under the moonlight and I see something I have not seen in a long time. His smile. His real smile. The kind he would give to his mama. He buries his face in my neck. Vanilla? He whispers, before leaving a light kiss on my mark. I didn't think you would find me. I tell him. I found you into lifetimes. You think I can't find you in some game? Our moment is broken by 𝐻𝐲𝐬's voice. Alpha Zane has found Luna Alessandra. The game is over. Let's go check out our room, Zane says as he grabs my hand. We walk hand in hand towards the large gold doors with our names on them. Zane and Alessandra 𝐑𝐞𝐝 beautiful is a word that does not do it justice. The moonlight illuminates the room that is covered in gray marble. A giant skylight allows me to see all of the stars and I can feel their brightness in my soul. Zane places his hands on my shoulders, causing a shiver to go up my spine. We should talk, he says. About what? The bond is only going to get stronger over time, he says. Okay, I say, unsure of where the conversation is heading. I was thinking once we get back home we can put some distance between us so it does not continue to grow. My house is plenty big. Are you fucking kidding me? I say, cutting him off. Look, Alessandra, we both know we will not work. It's easier this way, he says. You won't even give us a shot, I say. Are you kidding me right now? We were fucked from the start. I tormented you when we were little. I dated your sister. I almost made her my Luna. I sent you away. How can you think we can come back from that? We are mates for a reason. The goddess does not make mistakes. I tell him, my anger rising as he brings up all his faults. He bites his lip before giving me a cruel smile. Zane walks forward, his steps calculated. His eyes go dark and I realize that this is the alpha everyone speaks of. The cold alpha of Blood Moon, who I have only heard of but never actually experienced. I keep walking backward until I hit the cold wall. He lowers his head until his lips are at my ear. Our chests brush against each other as we inhale the oxygen that seems to be depleting by the second. I fucked your sister, Alessandra, he says. My blood runs cold. It's not news, but it's not something I'd like to hear. He decides to twist the knife in my chest a little more. My cock was inside your twin sister, Alessandra. How does that make you feel? Knowing the one person made for you wanted your sister instead. He was evil. So fucking evil I wanted to scream. I wouldn't go. Because that's what he wants. He wants me to cower like everyone else does when they are in his presence. But I'm not anyone. I'm Alessandro Mono, his damn mate, his equal. I was not just some pack member who would bend over backward to accommodate him. So that's it. You just want to pretend like we are mates in public for appearances, but behind closed doors we are strangers. I ask, with all the nonchalance I can muster. Precisely. Okay, what about sex then, Zane? What are you going to do when my heat hits? His jaw clenches so hard I think it might pop. Are you going to sit on the sidelines like a good little dog and watch as someone else? What is it you said? Oh yes, fucks me, I say. His nostrils flare. Maybe it's the dim lighting, but I swear his eyes grow so dark they might be black. Because I'll tell you right now, I'd rather have sex than deal with the pain of heat. So, if you aren't going to do it, who will? Tell me Zane whose cock is going to be inside me, I say, tossing his own words back at him. I'm sure tons of wolves would be on board to take their Luna's virginity. Maybe I should ask Jaden since we are already so familiar. 1 second I'm on my feet. The next Zane's hand is gripping me in between my legs until I'm at eye level with him. I can feel his fingers pressed against my ass while his thumb is at my front. If he just moved a little higher, it would be at the perfect spot. Are you seriously turned on right now, Alessandra? Noise. His eyes flash with gold that appears when his wolf is present. I would never hurt you, beauty. But if you ever give what is mine to someone else, I will rip out their throat and make you watch, Zane says. But I can tell by the edge of his voice it's Raphael I'm talking to. Tell your human to stop being an idiot. I've tried. Raphael responds. Zane's eyes return back to their normal brown. His thumb moves in a slow circle over my clit. And I try. I really do try to hold in my moan. But it escapes me. I'm not a gentle lover. he tells me. I almost shout in excitement. It took 2 years to convince this man to take me. I don't want a gentle lover, I respond with a raspy voice. His fingers continue to torture me over my dress. Take it off, I tell him, before showing him my back where the clasps to my dress are. His hands find the clasps and his lips find my back. I arch my back, pressing my ass into him as he continues to press his lips on my skin as he unclasps my dress. My dress falls to the floor and my nipples perk up as the cold air brushes against them. I'm left in my black panties while he's fully dressed. I don't get the chance to protest because he wraps my hair around his fist. Fuck. I've wanted to do that forever, Zane whispers. He gives my hair a tug and a cry comes from my throat. His grip is so tight that I'm looking up at him. You're mine, Alessandra, he says, before pressing his lips to mine. The position is awkward because my neck is practically bent backward, but I can't bring myself to care. His empty hands grabs my hip before slowly tracing a path up to my breast. His rough hand squeezes it so hard I moan into his mouth. Zane uses the opportunity to slip his tongue into my mouth. He pulls back abruptly. What's wrong? Alessandra, he says, his eyes shining with fear. Suddenly my head feels too heavy. I feel myself fall, but Zane runs and catches me before I hit the ground. Everything spins and I realize his eyes are gold before everything goes black. 𝐊𝐢𝐬𝐷𝐸R35. My heart. I would split open my heart with a knife, place you within and seal my wound, that you might dwell there and never inhabit another. 𝐻𝐻𝐸𝐬𝐧 2 years ago. Blood drips from my hands as I stare at the man I just slaughtered. I feel no remorse. He should have thought twice before wandering into my pack. Restlessness has overtaken my life since Alessandra left. It's barely been 2 months and I'm already losing it. Women help take the pain away. That brief moment of ecstasy after some good sex is what really eases me. Unfortunately, the only face that my brain conjures up as I come is the one I'm trying so desperately to forget. Alphas have self-control. My dad's voice rings in my ears and I want to shout at the man. I kill to control myself. I fuck to control myself. I fucking kill my body with grueling workouts, just take my mind off of the woman the goddess assigned me to. It's not fair. I'm not the kind of bitch about the cards I've been dealt. I know for a fact that Alessandra only feels a fraction of what I do. It's easier for her to hate me than it is to miss me. Sadly, I do not have the same luxury. What am I supposed to hate the woman for? I pour myself some bourbon and swipe through the photos Vincenzo had sent me. I told him to keep an eye on her and report back to me. My cousin was reliable, but he was also charming, and I almost regret assigning him the task as I take in Alessandra's face. She looks joyful. She hasn't looked that way since she found out we were mates. Jealousy swarms my body as I stare at her laughing with Vincenzo. He had done what I was unable to, and a part of me was thankful, but a bigger part of me wanted to punch him. I want her to laugh for me. Smile for me. Only for me. I drop my phone on my desk and lean back in my chair. Knowing that I made the right decision by sending her to Italy lulls me to sleep, and I completely forget about the dead man laying on my floor, surrounded by his own blood. Zane DeLuca. I tug on the handcuffs and bite my tongue as the wolfsbane bear soaked in touches my skin. My breathing is erratic and my canines will not stop elongating then retreating. I smelled Alessandra's heat before she realized it. The sweet smell made me go feral. I was not going to sleep with her. Just give her an orgasm or two. All of that went to shit when I smelled her heat. It was like her natural scent but times 10. Calm down, Zane, we are almost home. Hiro tells me. I called him when I realized what had happened. He was in town snooping on the 𝐊𝐵 anyway, so he showed up quickly. I put Alessandra on the jet that Hiro took here and he stayed with me while we waited for the other one to come to Manhattan. He had put handcuffs on me to make sure I didn't kill him for keeping me from my mate. There was no way I would survive on a plane with Alessandra during her heat, so separate jets were necessary. The stewardess from her flight had alerted me that she had not woken up on the flight. Donata did say her heat would be difficult because it has been put off for so long, but I did not expect her to lose consciousness. My mate needs me. Hiro, I say. I was hoping she was still asleep because once she woke up there would be a great deal of pain to deal with. The pilot announces that we are landing and I nearly foam at the mouth. Hold your horses, I'll get the key all right, Hiro says. He walks back with the small key and I hiss as the wolfsbane burns my skin. For a second I'm grateful for it because it takes my mind off of Alessandra. Every single nerve in my body was lighting up. I could feel her wolf calling for me. It was such a mind fuck. All I could think of was her and it pained me to think of her suffering. Hiro unlocks the handcuffs and I bolt out of my seat ready to run to my house. I had instructed her family and friends to put her there in the room furthest from mine. My goal is to keep us far away from each other, but I knew it was a wasted effort. I shift into my wolf and take off toward my house. The trees blur and I see pack members stop what they are doing to watch me race toward my Luna. Instantly I take into account that barely any of the viewers are male. Shit. The realization makes my legs pump faster until I reach my house on the lake. A swarm of young men stand outside demanding to be let into the house that holds a fur werewolf. This is a common occurrence on pack grounds. Every male without a mate is drawn to the smell of a woman in heat. It's not a conscious decision. This is when the animalistic nature of us wolves completely controls us. Regardless, the temptation to throttle each one of the men who wait to claim my mate is almost too much to bear. I know I have to get to Alessandra or I might just kill some of my own men. I vaguely register Alessandra's dad, the former beta, and Ricardo chase them off. I'm sure a part of them wishes to do the same to me. I stumble into the entrance of my home and shift back into my human form. I snatch the blanket hanging off the couch to cover myself and stomp up the stairs. I can't see or process anything other than the sweet smell of Alessandra. She's laying on the floor, surrounded by bags of 𝐖𝐨𝐲𝐬𝐬 and Kali press cold towels onto her skin. Lelia's blonde hair whips around when she hears me come in. Alpha. Oh my goddess. It's bad. It's so bad, she says, her eyes filling with tears. Kali, who is clearly more composed than her friend, turns to me. She won't wake up. We've tried everything, and her temperature is getting too high, she tells me. Doesn't that happen in ET anyway? I ask. Yeah, but not to this extent. It's like she's on fire, she says. Go get Donata. I'll stay here with her, I tell them. Alessandra's mom went to get her. Lelia says, we'll go wait outside. Kali says. They both exit my room and I sit on the floor next to Alessandra. The cold floor should be helping her temperature, but I can feel her skin continue to get hotter. Her body convulses so violently that fear swarms my heart. This isn't normal. Ally. Come on, little wolf. Open your eyes. Nothing. I place my hand over her heat even though I can hear it. I do it to console myself, but it has the opposite effect. It's slow. Too slow. I cannot wait for Donata to get here. I have to do something now. An idea comes to mind and I spring up, cradling Alessandra in my arms. We make it to the lake in record time. I did not stop to explain to her family or friends what was going on. There was no time for that. It's freezing outside, yet Alessandra's skin still glistens with sweat. Luckily, I had time to put some pants on before I left, but I stripped them off. I do the same to Alessandra, taking off the small amount of clothing she does have on. I wrap her body around mine. Her head rests in the crook of my neck and her stomach is against mine. I start walking towards the lake when I am interrupted by a shrill voice. What are you doing? Are you crazy? Valentina shouts. I understand her concern for her daughter, but there is nothing else I can do. It just snowed. The water will be freezing. Lilia adds, ignoring them. I walk into the lake. The water is so cold that my feet go numb almost instantly. You're going to kill her and yourself. Valentina shouts, her voice filled with panic. Valentina always exaggerates. Worst case scenario, we get sick. I continue on until everything but our heads are submerged. Her heart starts to pick up its pace and it's enough to convince me that this was worth it, even if it feels like my limbs are going to fall off. I stand there with her body in my arms. Her naked skin against mine feels right, like this was the one purpose I was put on this planet for. Come on, little wolf, I urge, hoping my words stir her from her sleep. The chill of the water makes its way to my bones and I wonder how much longer I can stay in the water. The goddess must take pity on me because Alessandra's eyes flutter open. She looks disoriented, almost like she's on some sort of drug, but I do not pay attention to that. No, instead I focus on the warm brown of her eyes and cherish the feeling of them looking at me with something other than hate or contempt. My hand reaches up to hold her face. I swipe away the droplets of water under her eyes with my thumb while the rest of my fingers stay tangled in her hair. I continue to stare at the eyes that I was not sure I would see again. Eyes that I've been obsessed with since I was a boy. 𝐊𝐢𝐬, I whisper. I know she does not hear it in her dazed state, but they pass my lips nonetheless. For one moment, everything is calm. Lilia, Kali, and Valentina have stopped freaking out and choose to spectate instead. The water is still and I can barely even hear any of the animals in the surrounding forest move. But then I'm hit with a wave of arousal that nearly gives me a fucking heart attack. Alessandra is fully awake now, and she's looking at me like I'm dessert. I let her go from my arms and submerge myself in the water. It gives me a minute to gather myself before I break through the surface and swim as fast as I can towards land. It's too risky to shift into my wolf. The fucker has been wanting to fully claim Alessandra since her birthday. My feet touch the sand and I take off running as fast as I can. This is my idea of mercy because the day I make Alessandra mine there will be no letting her go. She thinks she wants it, but she doesn't really get it. People think I'm emotional just simply because I choose not to express them. The truth is that I do have emotions. I love my parents. I feel loyalty to my pack. But Alessandra, I'm obsessed with her. Maybe I always have been. I know everything there is to know about that woman and she's not ready for it. Love breaks your heart, but obsession destroys your soul. Hey, little wolf. Because when I find you, you're mine. 𝐶HPT are 36 roses. Even a white rose has a black shadow. 4 years ago, it was a warm summer day and the teenagers of Blood Moon had decided to spend the day at the lake. On the trek towards their secret spot on the lake, a few of them had slipped and their bodies slid down the dirt. Zane watched as Alessandra rushed to help them. There was no need for her to be the Good Samaritan. Werewolves healed rapidly. Yet the youngest Romana quickly scaled the fall and began to make her way down. She helped each and every one of the few people who had fallen. Zane was conflicted. On one hand, what she did could be considered admirable and to most. It would be. But to him, it made her a loser. What was the point? They could have gotten up without her help and learned to be more careful next time. Yet Miss Goody-Goody had to go out and make herself seem better than everyone else. His eyes always lingered a little too long on Alessandra, but she seemed to never pay him any attention. He didn't blame her. After all, his favorite childhood pastime was getting a rise out of her. It seems that she had not forgotten, even though they were both almost adults now. Zane shifted his attention to Isabel, whose eyes were already trained on him. His dad had been on his ass lately about fixing his whore-like behavior, so it seemed like a good idea at the time to pursue Isabel. She was always following him around, but she was strong, resilient, and slightly manipulative. She seemed as broken as him, and that appeased his insecurities because 𝐴𝐴 would never give away his heart. He always chalked it up to his mother's gruesome death and his father's downward spiral that followed. He never considered that he had left his heart in the palms of a little girl all those years ago. The one with the big brown eyes that did not speak to him but offered her condolences with her eyes along with the white rose, his mother's favorite. Then she shifted into her little wolf and trotted away. When Zane had looked into those eyes, he had forgotten that his mother was torn limb from limb and that he had watched and was unable to do anything as the attackers held his small body down to the ground. If he could help it, he would never fail anyone like that ever again. Alessandra Romano. He had run away. In typical Zane fashion, he ran from the problem instead of facing it head-on. A man who was already feared by many could not get his personal affairs in order. Could you believe it? I see the desire in his eyes when he looks at me. I saw the fear when I had been attacked by spirits in Italy. The constant hate that boils around the edges of both of our eyes has now turned into something less sinister. How ironic. I had pledged to hate him and now I wanted him with everything I had. Sort of. I wanted to fuck him all night long, but a part of me wanted to strangle him. Great, now my thoughts are confusing me. More thoughts swirl in my head as I try to figure out his deal. Did he still love her? If so, I need to hear it straight from his mouth because I refuse to compete with Isabel. Everyone who has gone up against her has always lost, and I was not going to ruin the last remaining bits of our sisterhood. Alessia, get over here. Donata gave me the herbs to help your heat. My mother yells from the shore. I swim over to her, and when my body breaks through the surface, I smell pine. I couldn't see him holding me, but I could feel it. It was enough to ease the pain radiating throughout my body. Now that he was gone, I could begin to feel the itch of pain slither up my back. I take the herbs and am instantly met with relief. Be careful, Alessia. They won't last for long. My mom informs me. I give her a weak smile in response. Lelia comes up to me and unwinds our fingers. She gives me her warm smile as a way to comfort me, and I try to return the gesture, but I'm sure it just looked forced. I look at the ground with a blank stare and wonder how I got to this point. This is what I did not want to happen. This exact feeling is the reason I prayed the goddess would not give me my mate so soon. At this point, I can barely remember who I am. My thoughts are filled with Zane. My heart beats for him, and it all makes me want to rip my hair out strand by strand. I've never seen him like that. Lelia speaks. I lift my head and the confused expression graces my face. I always thought Zane was more animal than man. He's always been so nonchalant, like nothing affects him, and occasionally I've seen him get angry, but today it was like he was a different person. Lelia says, "It's true. I've never seen him look so fearful." My mom adds, "He held you like you were about to disappear." Kali tells me, her voice full of awe, "Sure, that's what you guys saw. I saw a man who ran away instead of having sex with me. Isn't that the whole point of heat? He won't even touch me when he is supposed to." I add with a pout, "It's hard to resist your mate. After all, they hold a part of your soul in their body." "But resisting your mate while they are in heat, that's damn near impossible, and he still accomplished it. Fuck him. It doesn't matter, I'm done trying to figure out that man," I say as I walk away. My mom begins to protest, but I assume Lelia and Kali back up my decision as I retreat into the forest. I don't care if I during my heat. The next time I see Zane, he better be willing to give me some answers. I find myself lost in my own thoughts when I stumble upon the pack's old training facility. Calling it a facility might be a stretch. It's more of a shack now, with some punching bags that are a couple of punches away from death. This place is abandoned and borderline shithole. No one is going to be here. The old wooden walls look like they might collapse any second, and quite frankly, the scent is putrid. I walk over to one of the bags and start doing my usual routine, consisting of some punches and kicks to get warmed up. I quickly realize that it's a bad idea because I can barely land a punch even though I took the herbs. I hear a door close and chalk it up to the wind, but then footsteps follow and I whip around to see who it is. Alessandra. Jaden. God, my stupid heat is ruining all of my senses. I should have smelled him a mile before I actually got here. "W, what are you doing here?" Jaden asks. His breathing is heavy and it's almost like he is in a daze. "Oh well, I just needed to be somewhere alone and I thought no one would be here," I tell him. I notice that he's wearing a jacket and sweatpants while I'm still in my sports bra and spandex. Maybe this was a bad idea. I'm always here. Shit, Alessandra. Get out of here. His sudden change in tone shocks me. "Excuse me. Have some respect. I'm your Luna now," I tell him. He paces the floor and mumbles a bunch of curse words before whipping his head at me. "Alessandra, I am going crazy. The need to push you up against that wall and fuck until we can't anymore is so strong." His last couple of words come out as a rasp. "I took some herbs, they suppress the heat. For you." I can still smell it. "Please, Alessandra, I do not want to be killed by the alpha," he begs. He was a curse. The whole point was to make mates come together as one. Okay, sex. However, every unmated male can smell the scent of a fertile woman who has not been claimed completely. The scent was strong and seductive, but most of all, it was addictive. The need to smell more and be completely consumed was like a drug. "Why don't you just run?" I ask. I can barely walk and he wants me to run away. "Because if I run, I'm going to run after you," he says. I give him a nod and turn to walk out when a flash of heat hits me. I drop to the floor with a moan of pain. The sensation is something I cannot explain. It's like an itch around my entire body that is followed by an ache, and holy fuck, my breasts feel like they are about to explode. It hurts, I try to say, but it comes out as more of a whisper. Then the worst part hits. The sting. It's like someone is poking 1,000 needles into every centimeter of my body, but they are pushing it down until it reaches my bone. "Zane," I whisper. "Send him the message through your mind link." Jaden tells me. He's backed away from me now, holding onto the wooden wall like it will keep him grounded enough to stay away from me. I can't. I've been away from the pack too long. It was true. The distance and the time had put a rift between my wolf and the others. It could be mended, but there was no way I would be able to mind-link Zane. Please, I whisper. He nods his head and does something for me that might get him killed because Zane's sanity is questionable. If I did not feel like I was being burned alive, I would smile.